In the name of the Father, and in the presence of these holy relics, I hereby pronounce you man and wife from this time forth. May the blessings of the gods light your path for all eternity. Far on.
Archadia should launch an attack by both land and air, our kingdom will stand little...
Nabudis has fallen.
Impossible! My father?
I know not. I am sorry.
If Nabudis has indeed fallen, it is only a matter of time before they reach the borders of Dalmasca. There is nothing to halt their advance.
Secure Nalbano with all haste.
I will go.
And I will go at his side.
Galtea, stand watch over your life.
That I be considered worthy.
We must withdraw!
No! The paling still stands!
Shield beyond sight, ne'er failing light.
The paling's fallen!
Then it's over!
For my father. For my father!
Lord Rasler!
Blessings of the Great Father descend, and guide your bodies return to the earth. Great Father, guide your spirits return to the Mother of all. There you shall find peace. Pharaoh.
The death of Lord Rasla Heos Nabradia was but one of many tragedies to befall the Kingdom of Dalmasca. The air of hope that had surrounded Her Royal Highness Princess Asha's wedding was now quite lost. Dalmasca had been set adrift at the mercy of history's restless tides. At this time, two great empires struggled for dominion over Ivalice: Archadia in the east, Rosaria the west. The invasion of the Kingdom of Nabradia was Arcadia's first step in its westward march. With Lord Rasla's beloved homeland consumed by the hellfires of war, it seemed clear that Archadia would soon mete out a like fate to Dalmasca. The fall of the fortress at Nalbina told the destruction of the greater part of Dalmasca's forces. A counterattack was mounted by the order of the Knights of Dalmasca, ever brave and faithful. But against the martial might of the Arcadian armies, they stood little chance of victory. Indeed, their defeat was to be absolute. Soon thereafter, Archadia came forward, offering terms of peace, or, as one might rather put it, terms of Dalmasca's surrender. Lord Romanos, King of Dalmasca, and my dear friend, had no choice but to accept these terms. It was, thus, only with reluctance that he set out for Nalbina Fortress, now under Arcadian occupation, to affix his seal to the Emperor's Treaty of Peace. The king had scarce departed his royal city of Rabanasta when the remnants of the Order made their return, and not a moment too soon, for a terrible revelation awaited them. The treaty would be signed with steel and writ in royal blood.
You there? Can you hear me? It's as I feared. They're slowing us down.
Do not say that. Not all of us are here for love of battle. He fights to defend his homeland.
Your name?
Rex, sir. My name's Rex.
Good. Rex. You bore a few cuts, but you are still whole. Well, can you stand? Think you can fight?
I'm fine, sir.
How old are you, Rex?
17, sir.
Young. Family?
My brother is all I have left, sir. He's 2 years younger than I, living in Rabanastre.
So young. You're barely old enough to be a man. You shouldn't be forced to wield a sword.
No, sir. I want to fight. For my homeland. And for my parents.
It's time, Bosch. Save the discussion for later. We must reach the king before they act, or all our efforts will be in vain.
I'm aware of the situation.
We found them! Over there!
Bossel, go ahead. I will handle this rabble.
Godspeed.
Steady, Rex. Keep your wits about you and you'll make it.
We move!
Lord Raminas, the King of Dalmasca, is about to sign a peace treaty. However, there is almost a guarantee that the Empire will kill him as soon as that treaty is signed, knowing that if his death, they would have complete control of the whole region of Dalmasca. Something that cannot be allowed to happen. So we take control as Rex, as we go through a glorified tutorial of our captain Bash here, to find our way through, to try and save Raminas from this impending doom. And on that note, welcome to Final Fantasy XII. One of the most fascinating Final Fantasies in the series, in my opinion. It's not my favourite in terms of everything, but I love the world building and I love the story of this game. The gameplay, it's a bit of an adjustment. As I mentioned before in my update video announcing this, Final Fantasy XII broke a lot of trends for the series. Firstly, it's based in a repeated world. It was the first Final Fantasy to be based in a world that had already been explored. Yes, admittedly it had previously been explored in a spin-off, but the point stood. It was a returning world, and so there are odd references to Final Fantasy Tactics in this because both games take place in the world of Ivalice. An extremely political, war-built world that is littered to the brim with fascinating story beats that I look forward to exploring with you. But we are going through a tutorial. That red line, you see that word curved line coming from the enemy towards us, that means an enemy is targeting you. When there are many enemies, you will want to pay attention to this because you'll know who's targeting who. Blue lines, in return, are instead what you are targeting from them. As you can see here, Rex is now targeting him. The game works as a soft MMO in the sense that when you pick a command, you will start an active time command, and then once the bar fills up, the command will be executed. With obviously heavier things taking longer to do. Items are instant, but they have a call off. And, well, more of it we'll explore as we go. Later on we'll be introduced to something called gambits, which will really open up this gameplay formula. But as it stands, you just pick what you want to do and wait for it to be done. If you pick attack, it will automatically repeat the command endlessly until you do something else or the enemy dies. So if you just pick attack, you can kind of just wait. One thing that this game pretty much requires to get enjoyment out of is patience. There is a lot of strategy and then letting things unfold. But here we have our first mini-boss, which, if it being only the second fight in the game, in the same vein as Persona 4's first boss was only the second fight in the game, it's still teaching you as you go, so it's really not a difficult thing here. It does have a minor weakness to Thunder, but at this point in the game, it doesn't make enough of a difference. As you can see there, the amount of damage it did wasn't enough to justify continuous using of Thunder. So instead, just keep on wailing on it, because as you can see, Captain Bash is going to do most of the work for you. Every time he hits, he does a lot. Alternatively, if you hold down L2, you can do what we're seeing right here. If you hold down L2, it will make whatever enemy you're targeted to the center of the screen no matter what. So you can decide whether you want the camera more focused on your character or more focused on the enemy. But once you've got the bar halfway down, the fight's over, because Bash will finish it for you. And we get a neat little reference. The pilot's code name is Tonberry. Because this world of Ivalice is very different from the rest of the Final Fantasy series in more ways than one. Mainly being, a lot of traditional enemies and traditional monsters don't exist as living beings in this, so are instead referenced through the names of machines or code names or in other little sneaky ways. And this applies to even the famous summons of the entire franchise as well. Like, we will find a ship called the Ifrits later on, things like that. But once you've done with that mini-boss, it's straight on to more encounters. Final Fantasy XII started another thing as well, and it was more catching up, because a lot of other games had already started doing it, and all the way to Final Fantasy X too, Final Fantasy was still doing something called random encounters, where you couldn't see enemies on the field, just every now and then the screen would flash and you'd go into a fight with enemies. This was the first game to have every single enemy appear on the field, which for some people was the best thing that could ever have been revealed for this game. To me personally, it didn't bother me that much. Now's the game is teaching us about the hard map and the soft map.
Vossler! Where are you?
What if Captain Azalis has fallen?
Don't talk such nonsense. Vossler's laughed in the face of death far too many times for him to stop now. Men like him don't die in places like this. We must make haste to reach the king. We will take him to safety.
Is His Majesty unharmed?
He'll agree to an unconditional surrender. They wouldn't dare touch him until the wax on his seal is dry.
But if we arrive after he signed the treaty...
Wait. Quickly, Rex!
The hard map is brought up by touching the touchpad, and it will bring up a big pace, and it's like in most games, whilst the soft map is what you're seeing on screen right now. If you press L3, it will overlay the map on top of your current game screen. I apologise in advance if it bugs you having the main screen being cluttered with the map overlaying, but I spend most of the game with the map overlaying because I love being able to just see the map whilst I go. Despite being pretty OCD, it's never bothered me. I love it being there because of how helpful it is. I'll try not to use it all the time. Like if it's linear sections like this, I probably won't use it too much, but admittedly, this is all post-recorded, so I won't always remember exactly what I've done because I recorded this a little while ago. And it's the same. And if you're wondering why I'm post-recording it, or if you're newish to the channel, I always do post-recordings for any major projects just because it makes it easier for me to record, get the footage together, and keep on top of it with editing. This one, especially this one being no exception, because I can easily see this being our biggest project on the channel, or my biggest project on this channel. Previously being held by, I want to say Neptunia, because although it was the same amount of videos as Final Fantasy 15, some of the videos were longer, so I think it might be Neptunia's the Crown Prince, or Crown Princess of it. At any point, if you hold down R2, you'll go into a fleeing state, where you'll put your weapons away, run a little faster, and you can prioritize moving away. But paying attention to your map will show you that there is more to this area before we go up the stairs. We are nearing the end of this tutorial though. Once you go up the stairs, there'll be one more fight, another set of stairs, and we're pretty much done. The first few videos are going to be on the shorter side of things, but when the world as a whole starts opening up a lot more, for the sake of getting a move on, the videos will start to get significantly bigger. No matter what, I'm going to make sure the videos don't go over an hour, but there probably will be a fair few that will hit 50 minutes. But Captain Barsh here is now introducing you to a save crystal. There's two variants, a blue one and an orange one. Both of them, when interacted with, will fully restore your health and magic across you and your entire team, and will offer you the ability to save your game. The orange ones, which will be introduced more later on, will also allow you to quick travel between other orange crystals. So the orange ones are more significant and the ones you want to pay attention to just that little bit more.
Intruders! Don't let them escape!
Sir, we have little time. You must go to the king. I'll handle these.
Fight well.
Godspeed, Captain Barsh. I don't think you actually have to fight these enemies, but for the sake of showing how easily the tides can turn if you're outnumbered, I decided to keep it in. Because as you're going to see through here, we're going to take a lot of pot shots. We're going to tank a hell of a lot whilst dealing with these enemies. And it is something that applies to the whole game. When you go to get into any encounter in the game, pay attention to your team size versus the enemy team size. If you are slightly outnumbered, it might be worth the risk. If you are drastically outnumbered, hell no. You need to understand when you're going through this game what fights are worth doing and what ones are not. And you need to learn quick. There are a lot of moments in this game, even really early on, where there will be a really powerful enemy or a large group of enemies nearby that you know you can deal with if there's only like one or two of them, but you'd just be walking into a death sentence if you decide to tackle them with their numbers or their strength now. But that is the last proper encounter of this section, so feel free to explore around, but there's no real need to. Because there are no more encounters for the rest of this section, there are no more items to pick up here because we're going to be shifting to a different playable character after this scene. But that being said, the rest of this part is just cutscenes, so I'll see you next time. Take care now.
Majesty. Captain, why? Our king, what have you done?
The king intended all along to sell Dalmasca to the Empire. His Majesty was a traitor.
Captain,
Seize the insurgent. Hello.
Well, so much for peaceful negotiations.
We'll never surrender to you. We are not cattle to be sold by a traitor king.
But the war is over, my dear captain. You have lost. Dalmasca is the property of the Empire now. And to think, we intended to let you keep some of your sovereignty, out of respect. But now you've gone and ruined that. Haven't you, Captain?
We will never bow to you.
And the people of Dalmasca will hate you for it. Take the captain away.
Off you go.